Hello, and welcome to another episode of Autopsy of a Writer. As always, I am your host, Brad Mitzelfeld. Today we are beginning our How to Write series of videos in which I will go through the process of writing a novel from beginning to end. Today we are talking about concept. As a reminder, everything I am about to say is my own personal opinion. What I say may work for you or it may not, but it should, at least, give you an idea of how to get started. So, concept. Let's start first with what concept is. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, and strangely enough, the word concept is not in the 1828 edition, concept has two definitions. The first is something conceived in the mind, and the second is an abstract or generic idea generalized from particular instances. What a mouthful. Let's ignore that second definition because, well, it means almost the same thing as the first. The only real difference is that it's based on something that might have happened around you, which your mind still has to put the concept together. So, focusing on the first definition, we see that a concept is something we think up. Most of you probably were already aware of that, but it still needed to be said so that our younger viewers can learn what it is. This channel, after all, is for all writers of all ages. Hopefully we can spur the next generation into writing as well. So why is concept important? Well, because without it, you can't write a story. I should point out before going further that concept and theme are not the same thing. Theme is a lesson that you want your readers to learn. The concept is what the story is overall. Concept usually involves figuring out a beginning, climax, and a conclusion, or like when you were learning how to write an essay, a beginning, a middle, and an end. You do not need to have your characters created to develop the concept, but some people like to start with character and then develop the story around the character. That's perfectly fine. As I said before, everyone develops their story in their own way, and there's no mandatory method of how to go about it. For me, I start with concept because then I can figure out what sort of character would fit in with the story without completely altering the story. I find that if I create characters and then bend a story around them, the story tends to suffer for the sake of the characters. It's also possible for the characters to suffer for the sake of the story and the method I use, but we'll discuss that in more detail when we discuss characters. So where does your concept come from? Personally, I develop my concepts from a wide range of places. I keep a journal, which I often carry around with me, and it definitely always travels with me. In this journal, I write down all of my story ideas. These ideas tend to come to me from all sorts of places. Dreams, movies, while I'm reading a book, while driving in a car, just about anywhere else. These little ideas may not be fully formed concepts, but I write them down anyway because I can probably develop them into concepts when I have time to mull them over. Very highly recommend keeping some form of writing journal around so you can keep from losing your little ideas. A fully formed concept includes a beginning, middle, and end. This isn't an outline, it's more like a paragraph. Outlining has its place, and we'll discuss it more later. Once you have this general snippet of an idea, you can mull it over and develop it into something more concrete at a later time. I usually take a dream or something that popped into my head and just think about what it could be and write down the various different ideas that come to me for how the story begins and ends, and then ultimately decide which one works the best. Here's an example of what I consider a story concept, and it's based on a dream about a female cop taking down bad seeds of the government. The main character, a woman, works for the government as a federal agent. A series of murders of high-profile targets, businessmen mostly, culminates in the murder of a congressman. Tasked with solving the case, she manages to catch the killer fairly quickly, but discovers that the killings are part of a much larger plot. Racing against time, she intercepts a coup attempt against the president. A high-profile crime syndicate ends up disbanded and in prison. That's the concept. With this concept, you have a beginning. She's a federal agent, and a series of murders lands on her desk as her next case. A climax, catching the killer leads her to a showdown with real bad guys where she stops a murderous coup attempt. In conclusion, the president is safe and the criminals are behind bars. It doesn't tell you how exactly she gets from point A to point B, but it gives you what those 2 points are and what needs to be accomplished between them. This, in my opinion, is a fully formed concept. With it, I can now develop the main character, our female agent, and all the supporting characters that are needed throughout. Once the characters are developed, I can outline the story, knowing the beginning and the end, and filling in the parts between it with what needs to happen in each chapter in order for the conclusion to ultimately be reached. Concept, in my opinion, is the most important part of any story. Without it, you can't even begin, unless you're one of those people who starts with a character and then develops a story around the character. Again, that's fine, but it doesn't work for everyone. That about covers it for concept. Next time, we're going to talk about characters and how to develop them. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and then hit the bell so you get notified when I upload new videos. Also hit that thumbs up button so I know you like the video, and drop a comment below if you have an idea for our next Writer's Perspective video, which, as I said before, those are usually going to be about movies like the Star Wars video was, so make your movie choice below. It could be a book choice if you want that too. Now, I hope you all have a nice day, and remember, write on.